If you are spending time with your loved ones for the holidays, chances are you're going to hear a lot of stories. The ones you love to hear, the ones you've heard probably a million times before. But have you ever wanted to help your loved ones document those timeless stories? It can be challenging to write an entire book of life memories, but that is where Storyworth comes in because they make it fun and easy. This is how anyone can write a book about their life. So help your family share their story this holiday season with Storyworth. Go to storyworth.com/words today and save $10 off your first purchase. That's STORYWORTH.com/words to save $10 off your first purchase. Go do it.
Wonderful Pistachios, your healthy snack nut. Learn more at wonderfulpistachios.com.
What's the worst thing about sports? That's right, all those unnecessary breaks in play. But you can make them all better by using Grubhub. Grubhub has every food you could possibly crave, from national favorites to local spots. Order through the Grubhub app or online today at grubhub.com. And with the holidays right around the corner, Grubhub gift cards are the perfect gift for everyone on your list. No dishes, just satisfied cravings all holiday season. Download the Grubhub app or visit grubhub.com today. Go for Grubhub.
You're listening to 100 Words or Less with Ray Harkins. Hello, everybody out there in the podcast listening universe. Thank you for downloading this podcast and putting it in your ear holes. And I know that sounds like a very trite and real basic thing to say, but I really do appreciate you taking the time with this show, taking the time with these guests, and listening to what they have to say because I think it's important, and I'm glad you think it's important. Today, we've got Dale Crover from the Melvins on. He is a man of many talents, has played in a lot of different bands, but the Melvins is his anchor and the one he's been playing with for quite some time, pretty much since the inception. Not pretty much, since the inception. But Dale and I had a great chat. The only thing I would like to note is that we ran into some technology barriers in regards to the internet just totally crapping out on us on more than one occasion. And it was frustrating, but we got through it. We actually had to switch over to the phone, which you'll notice in the last about 7 minutes of the conversation. Nothing that is like unlistenable, but I just want you to know that that it switches at a certain point because, I just wanted to ask these last few questions and we wanted to push through it. So that is what we did. You'll also notice at the top of the show, we have a new theme song. I am going to be using that from here on out. It is written by my friend Eugene, who does incredible music. If you are interested in what he has going on, you can just email the show, 100wordspodcast@gmail.com, and I will pull some connective tissue together. But he does a lot of great work, and he has done a lot of neat things for this show. So I really appreciate him and contributing song-wise to this because it's an original composition. That's how cool this podcast is. But you can also leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I know I say that almost every week, but it is meaningful. It gives legitimacy to this show and it makes other people discover it. And that is an important thing. And also tell your friends, tell anybody who should be listening to this show that they need to, download it, try out an episode or two, because I've got like 400 some of these things. So please do that. And let's dive into the conversation with Dale. And I will talk to you at the end of the episode for who is coming up next week. I first interacted with the Melvins in general, just as a punk and hardcore kid growing up in the 90s and, kind of understanding where the Melvins sat in context of, just kind of lineage of punk and hardcore and everything like that. And I'm sure it's interesting now, existing for as long as you have in the independent music scene, there are so many jumping off points for people to find out about, what you do as a musician, where it's like, oh yeah, I didn't even know he played in the Melvins because I just really like Off or, that's a maybe not the best example, but you get what I'm saying.
Sure. There might be some people like that, but the thing is, I don't consider us to be like some oldies band.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But you know what I mean? It's like somehow we've managed to stay current, and even though we have the history that we do, we're not considered like, 90s retro band or whatever, Thank God. But then again, maybe that would have gotten us, maybe that would get us some more like state fair gigs,
Oh, for sure, dude. You can do the, sit down dinner theater playing in front of 500 people or whatever.
I hear those pay well, It's like one ticket. You sell one ticket.
That's all you need, man.
Free show.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're getting the wine and dinner, but then a band happens to be playing for free.
Right. Yeah, no, we've never quite had those offers, though. Well, in some ways, but I mean,
right.
They're few and far between, and always something kind of weird and bizarre.
Sure.
But, managed to still play a lot of the same places we've been playing for a long time, and because we've got good relationships with people all across the country, stuff like that.
Right. So. Exactly. Yeah. You've traveled in the same circles, and people obviously know your context and where you're coming from. But I guess the point I was trying to arrive at was the notion that people can get into you at any time. A 13-year-old kid now can just get into the most recent release and then be like, oh, this is interesting, this acoustic thing, and understand so much more about the band. I presume it's gratifying for you to be able to, like you said, obviously not just be this quote unquote retro act, but then still be able to be accessible to a wide range of people. I mean, not mainstream, obviously, but yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Seems that we always get sort of a new audience every year, or at least every couple of years. It seems like it changes over. But, we understand that because you get to a certain age and you don't really go out and watch music that much anymore. Or go to a bar when you're like in your 50s that much anymore or anything like that. So we've managed to have this audience that stayed roughly the same age. So, and I always quote Dazed and Confused with what's his name's character?
Matthew McConaughey's character. Yeah, I know where you're going. Yeah,
right. Yeah. Exactly.
They say the same age. I just keep getting older.
I keep getting older, and they stay the same age.
Right.
Which is creepy now, but
yes, in the context you used it in the movie, that was not cool. But yes, for you guys, it's definitely cool. And I'm sure that kind of having that, like you said, sort of generational turnover. And when I say generation, like I honestly, personally, in independent music, measure it every like 4 to 5 years, just because.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
It's like every high school year. It's like, oh, once a freshman graduates, their senior year, like that kind of the new leaf gets turned over. I would really define that for you guys as well, like in the early 2000s, where a lot of people that were very and are still very entrenched in the whatever metal punk hardcore world. And you guys were deemed as, very influential from bands like, ISIS and all of that. Like once that started, the Hider Head record scene started to, really take hold. I think that was a real interesting inflection point for you guys to all of a sudden be playing in front of, not like extremely younger people, but people who are more open to, your creative pursuits.
Yeah, somehow we've crossed genres. We've gone, grunge. We can go the stoner metal route, and then with like the bands you're just mentioning, it's like art metal, or sludge or whatever. There's quite a crossover.
Right.
Of people that we appeal to, but not all those people. I mean, we're kind of like too heavy for like alternative people and maybe too weird and nerdy for super extreme metal people, but somehow we meet all the weirdos in the middle.
Right. It's like you're collecting from each disparate scene and being like, oh, we'll take 5% here, 7% here. Not like that's a strategy, but yeah.
No, it just happened that way.
Yeah, exactly. I'll pull on some other strings in regards to that a little bit later, but I know you were born and raised in obviously in the Aberdeen area, like everybody, has mentioned in every interview ever. But from what I can understand in general about the time in the place that you came up in, Aberdeen was this, suburb enclave, but at the same time, there was a lot of, I guess, progressive thought and a lot of, more interesting things happening there per se, and not so much from like a cultural perspective, but just like, oh yeah, sort of, maybe ex-hippies or that sort of lifestyle. Is that a correct representation, or am I completely off?
No, there wasn't much going on there at all. I mean, as far as
okay, just
we,
dead.
We were definitely the few of us that we were certainly outsiders compared to anything else that was going on there. I mean, there was really no music scene going on there besides like a few high school style cover bands, which I was guilty of being in one until I joined the Melvins. Other than, the freakiness of there's being like a few bands that actually came from there, Metal Church is one of them that were going when I saw the Melvins. And I knew those guys and saw them play and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there was no place to play. All we did, once I joined the Melvins, all we did was practice all the time because that's all there really was to do. We would practice all the time and play a show maybe once a month, but not in Aberdeen. That would be more like Olympia or Seattle or something like that. It was a isolated coastal town in Washington. Closest city would have been, Olympia, but there was actually stuff going on there. There was the Evergreen College, which was kind of and still is kind of a hippie college, I guess you'd say. Alternative college, progressive. So I think because of that, there was definitely like a underground music scene that Melvins were involved in even before I joined the band. And I knew that. And I thought that was, okay, these guys actually play gigs out of town, and there's nothing going on here. So good move to get with a band that's playing shows, not in Aberdeen, where there's no place to play, besides a kegger party, maybe, if you're lucky. So, I mean, yeah. So the fact that any bands came from there at all is freakish in and of itself.
Sure. There was such a large mountain to climb, so to speak, just to, get out of the garage.
Yep.
So, I mean, I guess why were your parents there? Like, what were they doing as far as their profession was concerned? Like, why, I guess, set roots in Aberdeen?
Yeah, good question. Why the fuck were they there? No, my dad ended up there sometime after World War II. He was a World War II vet. And after he got out of the war, he got into construction and helped. He did a lot of construction work, did a lot of building bridges in Washington. So I don't know exactly how he ended up in Aberdeen,
Sure.
Because his family's from Oregon. My mom grew up there. And I'm not exactly sure how her parents ended up there. Well, I probably do. I mean, he was in World War II. So I have a grandfather that was World War I. I have a grandfather who was in World War I and a dad that was in World War II. Isn't that crazy? I'm not that old.
And no, it is crazy to hear that, especially in the context of where your life obviously ended up farthest away from military service at all possible. So,
oh yeah, exactly. Thank God those guys did it, and I didn't have to do it. And
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Thanks for having me just at the right time. When you didn't have plans to have a kid.
Yep.
Where I would miss any military action.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and plus the, I guess the desire and the fortitude to be like, oh yes, like, obviously my grandfather was in the military and my father was in the military. So I guess by definition, I should at least try this out. But, that was clearly never a part of your plan.
Oh no. So right. So my dad had 3 kids before me and my mom had 2. And then they got together and happy accident, me came along. And, easy for me to get the band to come over and practice at the house because they'd already done all the parenting that they needed to do. And so it was all cool.
Right. They were like, listen, Dale can fend for himself. Like as long as he's not doing anything, horrifically irresponsible, we'll be okay.
My brothers are like, you got away with murder. We would have never been able to have like band practice at the house, you know?
Dude, that's great. That's great. So, I mean, we're all, I guess, 5 of your step siblings all at the same house, like at the same time as well. So you had that many kids running around.
Maybe at first, but no, my older brother and 2 sisters lived with their mother, and my 2 brothers on my mother's side lived with us. So, and they were still a bit older than me. Like by the time I was a teenager, they were out of the house, and I commanded their bedrooms, and one of them was like the jam room.
Perfect.
And one of them was the bedroom. Like,
yes,
anyway,
of course. Yeah. And so what kind of kid did you find yourself being as you were, kind of going through junior high and high school, like developing an identity? Did you, try sports out? Were you like, all right, I'm going to be, a scholarly guy? Like, what identities were you trying on at that time?
Oh, by then, yeah, I was into baseball for sure. And then, yeah, by the time I turned 13, it was starting to get more real, right. Well, all of a sudden it was like, yeah, you're on a regulation size, a real field, not a little league field. And guys are getting bigger and throwing harder. And I don't know, I was starting to play music then. So it was like, I realized that I could be a much better drummer than a baseball player. I tried out football for a little bit, but then that was like pretty serious. Kids basically pummeling the shit out of you. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do this.
Right. This is way more intense than baseball. Right.
Well, plus at that age, kids are just, I should speak softly because my son is in 7th grade, but that was the worst fucking year of school ever.
Yes. It is boys, girls,
it sucks.
Totally. It doesn't matter what you are.
It's one of the worst times.
Totally. Because no one has any idea what they're doing, yet everyone's trying to be confident in what they're not.
Well, shit's a little bit better now because they're definitely cracking down on more the bully type of stuff than they used to.
Sure.
Though I know it's still the fucking same. But my junior high at that point was like, and I'm talking about right when I was trying to getting into playing drums, forming opinions about music and all that kind of stuff. It was 7th, 8th, 9th grade. So 7th graders just got, they got the worst shit from all the kids. So his school is 6, 7, 8. So he's at least in the middle. Right,
for sure. And did you care about school? Like, did you get solid enough grades to keep your parents off your back, or were they pretty concerned?
Maybe for a little while.
Okay.
Well, by the time I joined the Melvins, I was 16, going on 17. Sophomore, and joined the band summer of '84 when I was going into that grade, and we were playing shows on weekdays out of town and not getting back till 3, 4 in the morning, and I was starting to miss a lot of school.
And did they grow concerned at that point?
A little bit, but it's hard to control a teenager. I don't know if you know this, but
yes. So I've lived through and heard and seen, especially in our beautiful independent music scene. It's not like a lot of people have that. When starting bands and touring, it's not like that's something that parents understand.
Right. I think it was probably obvious to my parents even before that that's really what I wanted to do, and I don't know. I must have been pretty good enough for them to go, oh, this is well, maybe there's something here. So they let a lot of stuff slide.
We're talking about band merch. We're talking about rockabilia.com. And we're also talking about using this promo code 100 words or less that gets you 10% off your entire order. And why are we talking about these things? It's because band merch is the best. I have hundreds and hundreds of t-shirts, and many of them have ended up being purchased via Rockabilia. I think they are the greatest purveyors of online merchandise, all officially licensed stuff, high quality, ships to you fast. There is literally no reason you can't go on there and find a bunch of items that you will buy and then just be that much cooler than all your friends. Because after all, isn't that what we're all looking for? Joking aside, Rockabilia is the best. They continue to support this podcast, and you will have so much fun going to their website, using the promo code 100 words or less, and that gets you 10% off your order. Go there and find all of your favorite band merch today. Your pups know everything about you. Why wouldn't you want to know your pup better? That is why I love working with Embark Vet. They allow dog owners to learn more about their dog's health insights and their breed mix with the highest rated dog DNA test kit on the market. Right up top, I want to give you a discount. So go to embarkvet.com to get free shipping and save $65 off with promo code RAY. It is an incredible tool for dog owners that screens for more than 215 genetic health risks across 350 breeds. That's more breeds tested than any other dog DNA test kit. It's super easy to administer the test. My kiddo did it. Puts the little Q-tip in the pup's mouth, put it in a test tube, send it back to Embark. They email you with this amazing profile that tells you all this cool stuff, including the Mystery Relative Finder, which offers the ability to find your dog's relatives from close to distant. 72% of pup parents are puzzled when it comes to their dog's breed. It's time to end these guessing games, and this holiday season is the perfect thing to give the dog lover in your life, something that they won't expect. It is the perfect time to shop for an Embark dog DNA test. Right now, they have a limited time offer on their Breed and Health Kit and Pure Vet Kit for 100 words or less listeners. Go to embarkvet.com and get free shipping and save $65 off with promo code RAY. Again, visit embarkvet.com and use promo code RAY to save $65 today. That was a point I was going to bring up a little bit later. The notion that you, obviously, as a drummer, like starting off with drums is like easily the most punishing instrument for most parents. So for them to...
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So for them to give you that leeway.
Right. So yeah, that was the telltale right there, Oh, okay. But yeah, the drums got loud pretty damn quick, and they were supportive all the way through. So thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, that's impressive, especially like you said too, being able to have rehearsal at the house and stuff like that. Because I'm sure there's an element of them being excited that you cared about something, and then clearly underneath that roof they can keep tabs on you.
Totally, they probably figured like, oh, well, at least we know where he is.
Right, as long as he's making noise, it's fine.
Okay, he's here. All right.
Right. And so I'm guessing because it's interesting. You live in LA right now, right? You've been in Southern California for a while, or no? Yeah. And so to me, you've always struck me as like this very sort of quintessential SoCal dude, as far as like your attitude and not taking things overly seriously.
Dude.
Yeah.
Do I have the accent yet, man?
I think if you were trying to, imitate Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, yes, I think so.
Yeah, well, no, I was kind of going for more of a Keith Morris thing.
True. That okay.
Yeah. Like him or Steve McDonald. I mean, he's got the total Southern Cal accent.
Yes,
that's the accent.
That is the accent. Yes, you are correct. You've spent plenty of time with them, so you have plenty of experience to imitate them.
It's a good accent.
Yeah, it is. So I guess, has that always kind of been your personality, as it were? Were you always sort of generally easygoing and kind of displaying that, that vibe, or is that something that you kind of grew into over time?
I think I've always been pretty easygoing. Yeah, sure. Quiet sometimes, shy, whatever. Used to be somewhat introverted.
Right. Well, you're the drummer, so you obviously have the armor, as it were, to hide behind the kit.
oh yeah, but I can certainly ham it up.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, clearly the Melvins are.
I'm right. If you said who's the biggest ham in the Melvins,
there could be some arguments about that. Yeah.
There could be, actually. Yes, there could be.
Right.
But, I'll have a ham contest with anybody on stage,
Absolutely. Well, and honestly, I think that's why people, in my opinion, why people are attracted to the Melvins in general is, you guys take your art and music seriously as far as the presentation of it is concerned, but you never take it overly seriously. And people understand that there's this, tongue-in-cheek firmly implanted in the band. I'm going to guess that's obviously intentional for you guys.
I mean, it's not so much intentional as just that is how we are, forever stuck in 8th grade humor, and that just comes out. Yeah. I mean, the name of the band is the Melvins. What the fuck do you expect?
Of course. Right.
What do you want? What do you think is going to happen?
Right. You're only going to take this so seriously. Yeah. We're not curing cancer here.
There it is right there. There it is right there.
Sure.
The name of the band is the Melvins.
Did you ever, I guess, kind of mess around with like guitar or anything else before drums took you over? Or was that like day one, that was the thing you wanted to play?
Oh, no, I was a guitar player first.
Okay,
I played guitar starting in 8th grade. Sorry, 8th grade. 8 years old was when I got my first acoustic guitar and started taking lessons at the local Aberdeen library, public library.
That's a weird place to take lessons. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, free lessons. Back when the library used to do stuff that was cool, I guess. They probably still do. But I mean, there's stuff like that around. It was like, free guitar lessons for a group, and he was teaching basic beginning guitar and learned your A7 chord, and then your D, and then your G, and then you got a song right there. So,
right. So
Hush Little Baby, Kumbaya, Obla-dee, Obla-da. That's where I first learned those songs. My library was pretty cool too. They would sometimes show. They had films, and they would show movies. You could actually rent. You could rent. You could check out the movies and a projector, and watch. Like I remember they would show Yellow Submarine at the library.
Wow!
In the same room where I took the guitar lessons, and I remember we checked out the projector and film one time and watched Harlem Globetrotters films, and then we watched them backwards.
Sure,
they would so funny backwards.
I can imagine. They're funny forwards and then putting them backwards. Yeah, it's incredible. Totally. Obviously, when you were messing around with the guitar, one led to the other of you being interested in drums because that was easier because there's no notes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was always interested in them too. I mean, something I've mentioned before is I remember being 6 years old at Christmas and getting a toy drum set and being super excited, like waking up and seeing it. And I don't think I knew that I was getting something like that, but just being completely blown away and like, oh my God. And, I started playing it right away at 6 a.m. And I'm sure my parents were like, oh,
mistake.
Christmas is here.
Totally. Whoops.
So, so I remember I'm just being interested in both. I mean, not only toy drums, but toy guitars and stuff like that too. So just being interested in music from a really early age, and watching stuff on TV, like what you could watch would be like, well, the Monkees were the big band for sure. I'd say is still one of my favorites, but I would also watch Hee Haw at the same time, or the Lawrence Welk Show, or whatever. Just anything with music didn't matter. But the Monkees were the cooler of the bunch. Probably why I gravitated to rock and roll more, I guess.
Yeah. But anything with music you were consuming. I completely identify with you because I love the Monkees, and that was something that I was watching clearly on reruns on Nickelodeon and Nick at Night and stuff like that. And I remember how heartbroken I was when I discovered that wasn't like a quote unquote real band, like they were assembled, and it was just like, oh, it really? But they're really good. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, those songs are really great. I mean, they had great songwriters and obviously great players or whatever, whoever played on those records. But at the same time, bands like the Beach Boys were probably using this. They were using the same session musicians that the Monkees were. Absolutely,
yeah, for sure. I mean, they were
Wrecking Crew,
yeah, exactly.
And had Boyce and Hart writing songs for Tommy Boyce, Boyce and Hart writing songs for those guys, which those guys are great. I love their stuff.
It's just incredible how versatile those players.
Didn't really matter.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It was incredible how versatile those players were because they could just take. It was like, hey, so we're just going to rip off the Beatles, except obviously make that more for kids and stuff and put them on TV. So can you go ahead and do that? And they're like, sure, no problem. And they just bang out all these hits.
Yeah. And I mean, they're almost not really like the Beatles.
Totally.
Song wise, it's like, It's really good. I mean, amazing songwriting and all that. And I really like, though those guys might not have played on everything, I really like Mickey Dolenz in his singing.
Yeah.
His vocals are great. In fact, he has a new record out right now. It's Dolenz Sings Nesmith, and so he's doing all these Mike Nesmith songs.
Whoa!
And are you familiar with the Head record?
Yeah.
Soundtrack. Circle Sky, Mike Nesmith song. Mickey does an awesome version of it on his new record. That's like total psychedelic raga with sitar and tabla, and his vocals are awesome. And
wow,
I haven't checked out the rest of the record yet, but it's pretty cool. It's worth checking out for that song alone.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, you can stack that up against Last Train to Clarksville, and then you got a great doubleheader. So, like you mentioned, once you started to really just completely get immersed within the independent music scene, as it were. I mean, clearly, like you said, you were reaching out to other cities and, being able to play shows and stuff like that. Was it the attraction of just being able to, create these songs with friends and play them in front of each other that kind of got you keyed into the notion of being in a band? Because, I mean, clearly all this stuff, there was no roadmap for you to be in a band because you were watching stuff like, Kiss and Iron Maiden. And it was like, we're not going to get there.
Oh no, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in a band, that's what I wanted to do for sure. And joining these guys was definitely a career move, For me, it was like, okay, these guys are doing shit. Like I said, these guys are playing shows out of town. They've got something going on. Any of these other guys around Aberdeen do not.
Got it. So you felt like it was the on-ramp on a very long highway.
Totally. This was an upgrade and a chance to get the hell out of here.
Sure.
And it worked.
Right. Yeah. Once you started to play shows and get immersed in that independent music scene, what kind of, I guess, drew you into the idea of like, hey, feel like we're contributing in some way, like we are part of a scene? What was attractive to you about that?
Gosh, I don't know. I never really felt, and I don't think we really felt. I mean, there was already stuff happening in Seattle and Olympia and places like that. It was always kind of a small thing. I felt like I stepped into something that was kind of already happening,
Sure.
But at the same time, us being isolated the way that we were, we never felt. I don't know. We always felt, isolated.
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously a lot of that had to do with your geographic area.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Right.
Yeah, right. But I guess just that that initial feeling of just being able to, play VFW halls and see that you're at least playing with other bands that, maybe didn't suck as bad as the bands that you played with, whatever, a year ago or something like that.
Yeah, right. I mean, we didn't have big ambitions at all. I mean, for us, it was like, to play a show and play on stage. That's great. That's what we want to do, And then we really wanted to make a record, and that took a while to happen. But finally it did. So, baby steps.
Well, and also it seems like you said, the ambitions of the band, there were never any, grand plans of putting stuff together because that was not part of the radar, as it were. And so it seemed to always and still to this day, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but, very hand to mouth, where it's like, oh, what's the next thing that we could do?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Right. I mean, yeah. And certainly it's like that, but I mean, we do like to plan things pretty far in advance, I mean, I don't know. We're a million miles away from those days. So what can I say? Things operate a lot more smoothly nowadays, and there's a lot more advanced planning because we can. And but at the same time, it's like we also know that this could end tomorrow. Once
you started to tour, did you enjoy that experience initially, or again, was that something that you kind of you learned to enjoy over time, or did you immediately take to it?
Well, just being able to get out and go someplace and get out of town was exciting enough. I don't even know if we considered it to be touring. at the time. Early on, we would go to town. We would go to Canada and play with these dudes that we knew up in Calgary and do a bunch of shows across Canada early on. It was fun, but it was also roughing it as far as like places that we stayed at, and just being young and a teenager and out and having fun without your parents, I guess. I don't know.
So you did enjoy
it. Sure.
Right. It's like you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we had some pretty crazy experiences on our first tour. We did this tour sort of across, well, at least going down south and going to the southern states of the United States and then up the East Coast on a tour where nobody really knew who we were and nobody really liked us. And, it was totally like hand to mouth as far as like making money and touring in a van that broke down every 10 miles. So that was fun, but not so fun.
Of course, yeah. Right.
It was like our total like on the road moment, Jack Kerouac, like bumming it across the U.S.
Absolutely.
Maybe a slight step higher than hitching it all the way around the U.S. and just like bumming around, basically. Some kids do, when they get out of high school or graduate college, they go and backpack across Europe, we bummed it around the U.S. in some shit van trying to get shows and people to like us. So our only 7-inch that we had out.
Of course, right? Yeah, this was you just elongated your your gap year, as they say, and you're just still doing it now.
Right. Yeah. It sucked at first. I mean, we vowed to never tour again after that tour. It was fun, but there was a lot of bummer times, and but still, we got our best stories come from that tour, I think.
Your pups know everything about you. Why wouldn't you want to know your pup better? That is why I love working with Embark Vet. They allow dog owners to learn more about their dog's health insights and their breed mix with the highest rated dog DNA test kit on the market. Right up top, I want to give you a discount. So go to embarkvet.com to get free shipping and save $65 off with promo code RAY. It is an incredible tool for dog owners that screens for more than 215 genetic health risks across 350 breeds. That's more breeds tested than any other dog DNA test kit. It's super easy to administer the test. My kiddo did it, puts the little Q-tip in the pup's mouth, put it in a test tube, send it back to Embark. They email you with this amazing profile that tells you all this cool stuff, including the Mystery Relative Finder, which offers the ability to find your dog's relatives from close to distant. 72% of pup parents are puzzled when it comes to their dog's breed. It's time to end these guessing games, and this holiday season is the perfect thing to give the dog lover in your life, something that they won't expect. It is the perfect time to shop for an Embark dog DNA test. Right now, they have a limited time offer on their Breed and Health Kit and Pure Vet Kit for 100 words or less listeners. Go to embarkvet.com and get free shipping and save $65 off with promo code RAY. Again, visit embarkvet.com and use promo code RAY to save $65 today. Let me solve all of your holiday shopping problems right now by talking to you about the premium audio products from Raycon. They have wireless earbuds, headphones, and speakers that offer premium sound. I personally adore the wireless earbuds. I've been using them for 4 or 5 years. They got a ton of battery life. We're talking 54 plus hours. It's incredible. And honestly, I have gotten them for gifts for my significant other. I've gotten them for my family and friends, and they all come back to me and they're like, dude, this is incredible. Why have I never used these before? And I'm like, I don't know. That's your fault. That's why I am here to help you. And for the next month, Raycon will have a countdown to Christmas with a new pop-up flash deal for you to take advantage of every single day. Now, what can you do? You can go to buyraycon.com/Ray and get the best deals around. That gets you 15% off site-wide with code HOLIDAY plus free shipping. That is code HOLIDAY at buyraycon.com/Ray for 15% off your Raycon purchase and then free shipping. So again, go to buyraycon.com/Ray, solve all of your shopping problems, and then maybe, toss a pair of headphones there for you. Okay. Maybe just an idea, but thank you, Raycon. and buy them now. So I guess as you started to do this and, maybe a few people started to show up at shows and there was some attention being paid to you guys, how did the interaction of, I guess, commerce and the business side of music? I know you guys have always had a somewhat adversarial relationship to that side of the coin, as it were. Did you, I guess, care to participate in that at all? Or is that just something that was, in
the business side of things?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've always watched every dollar,
sure,
and not left it in somebody else's hands. I think we've been realistic about that stuff from the get go.
But do you enjoy? I mean, do you enjoy the I guess the business of it, or is it just like, well, we got to deal with this, so of course, we're going to do that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we tolerate it. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we got our heavies behind us.
Right. You got people working for you. Sure.
But ultimately, if we weren't making a living off of doing this at this point, we wouldn't do it. Why? I mean, it would be weekend warriors, I guess.
And kind of along that same lines, as you guys started to, entertain these, record deals, obviously with, Atlantic, and once grunge obviously exploded and every label was trying to figure out, what they needed to do with that. And this may be kind of an interesting way to put this question, but just when did you kind of notice it being comical? And what I mean by that is oh my gosh, this has gone completely out of control. Why are these labels even talking to us? This is ridiculous. I mean, we're going to talk to them because it's funny. We're going to entertain these meetings or whatever. But when did it feel, I guess, larger than life in a way that you were just oh my gosh, why are people even paying attention on this level to what, the Melvins are doing or whatever? Or did it ever get that way?
Comical, not really. But I mean, as far as us understanding why, I mean, obviously why was because of the Nirvana guys, and labels seeing this whole new musical explosion happening and signing anything that might make them some money. But on the other hand, for us, with our deal in Atlantic, they always seemed realistic about their expectations, at least when we first signed. And that's why we went with them too. They weren't thinking you guys are going to sell 1 million records and it's going to be great and we're going to have all the success. And, it was more okay, we guys know that you're already established and, obviously you guys are friends with these guys. We'll give you this much money to make whatever kind of record you want to. And, also by us signing you guys, it'll make us look hip. We'll be realistic about this whole thing. And if this relationship works out, you guys will always be able to be on this label and make records for your whole career. That's what attracted us to Atlantic. And that's coming from the vice president, who wasn't there after a year and a half or so. So, I mean, we signed a fucking great deal. We signed a deal that if we would have still been there, we would have been making records with them. We could still be making records with them. They could still have us if but the turnover of employees there, I mean, we outlasted everybody that was there when we signed with them. So we made out pretty good, and we did 3 records with them, and I'm happy with all those records, And then we went and signed with somebody else where we could do the exact same thing that was going to happen with Atlantic, and we're still there. Funny enough.
Well, and I think it's really, important to highlight the fact that it's the core idea of obviously what you guys were trying to accomplish with your, music and your art was intact for all, like you said, all of the relationships that you've had with labels. It's they've, relatively left you guys alone and let you, hatch your harebrained schemes and be able to put it out in the world in a positive way. And I think that, that's the dream. And you guys have been able to accomplish that in so many different aspects. So it's cool.
Yeah. exactly. Exactly. Thank you for realizing that.
Hey, you know what? Someone's got to tell you guys are good occasionally. I'm just kidding. so as you started to pursue the the band life and be a part of that, how are your parents reacting to, it's like, wow, our son Dale, I guess, is in like a rock band? Like, were they coming to shows? Were they sort of cheering you on from the sidelines? What was their interaction with this nomadic lifestyle you were living?
Yeah, eventually they came and saw the band play. It was after I moved away, but they didn't really need to come and see me play when I lived there because they got their own free concert every night.
Right. Totally. You guys have already heard these songs. You don't need to be here.
And of course, at that point, I wouldn't have wanted my parents to come to the show. Not then, No. But then after I moved away and came back, then it was great. It was great having them come and yes, they were very proud.
The fact that you guys as the Melvins have been able to do so many different creative things and stuff that has really challenged your fan base to follow along with what you guys are doing. Is it fun to kind of try to find those limits in which people, I guess, do follow you?
Yeah, sure. Especially doing artwork. Especially in the last, 20 years, we've been in control of all that stuff, and things have changed so much. Like as far as selling music goes, back when we were on Atlantic, like they used to give away pretty much as many promo copies as what we could sell nowadays. So that's why we do those things. That's why we do a lot of limited edition artwork things, and it's taken more control of that stuff. But yeah, it's like a whole nother world that is something that we can do.
Sure. And then musically, I'm sure it's also fun to explore I wouldn't even say the limits of what you guys can do, but just what people will support from you guys without you saying, hey, we don't like this band anymore,
Right. I guess, we've never worried about that stuff, even from the beginning, cared about we've always tried to make what we thought was cool. We're playing music that we like and would like as fans. And, it's weird and different than anything else, from anybody else. And that's why you should like our band, but we're fans of all kinds of different music, and I think it shows in our stuff. We care, but we don't care. We don't care what you think. We know we're villains. We've always been villains in this. We're the villains of rock and roll.
You're you like to lean into the heel aspect of the wrestling world, as it were.
Well, we didn't start out to be villains. We weren't meant to be villains. We want people to love us, but like I said, our band's called the Melvins first and foremost. So you take it from there. But we're definitely the underdogs, I think, and always has been. And yeah,
it's a role you're comfortable with.
Sure.
Your time in, off in Red Cross that you still play with, it seems to me a function of you being a dude who kind of gets it as far as knowing where both the bands are coming from musically, but then obviously has the, chops to be able to play the stuff. It also feels like the inclusion of you in those bands also definitely mimics the idea of, when bands first start playing, sometimes a drummer is the most difficult person to come by because of all of the obvious reasons. Was you being asked to play in both of those bands, did it kind of feel that way where it was like, oh, this is already people I'm familiar with and their art, and now I'm just able to, put my own stuff on there?
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Drummers are always in multiple bands because there's not a lot of us, and that's one reason why I decided to play drums, is because, everybody and their brother can play guitar. and everybody and their brother does play guitar. So, drums, you have more opportunity to be in bands because there's way less of us. But, I've always approached, both those bands with my own style, but also exactly knowing where they're coming from, what their style is, and what drumming style they're looking for. With Red Cross, it's like a combination of Ringo, Charlie, with a little a big pinch of Keith thrown in, and with Off, they're more of a Black Flag, early '80s style hardcore.
The last thing I want to hit on was, you obviously, having a family and, having all of these things that, quote unquote, normal people do, how does your, how do your kids react to you being in a band and your art and everything like that? Is it one of those things where, like most kids, they think the stuff that their parents do is the uncoolest thing possible, or how do they interact with that?
Well, they've grown up with it, and I don't know. You like my band?
Yes.
Okay, my daughter says yes. So
that's good.
I think she digs it. They're cool with it. They think it's cool, right? Dad's cool, right? Yeah. Okay. There we go. You hear that?
Yeah.
All right.
For just further validation. That's cool.
16-year-old who's working on looks like a green tea shake wearing a Bikini Kill shirt. So there you go.
That they could definitely have turned out worse. That's for sure.
I did okay. Did okay from a country bumpkin coming from Aberdeen, Washington. There's a great meme going around of my hometown where it says 10,000 meth heads and counting. Don't feed the meth heads.
Well, Dale, thanks for shoveling through the technical glitches, but yeah, I appreciate you hanging out.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, man.
Okay, that was Dale, and it was fun. Like I said, even though we went through some technological glitches, that was not his fault. That was the internet's fault. It was still a fun chat nonetheless, and thank you very much to Monica, his publicist. And you need to check out all the Melvins stuff. You should also probably check out, Off and Red Cross if you are missing some great punk bands that should be part of your vernacular. But anyways, we are talking about next week. We've got Brian Cook, who is the bassist from Russian Circles. He also played in Botch, just recently released a solo record called Torment and Glory. And he's also played in bands like Roy. And I love what Brian does. And I've wanted to have this conversation with him for a while. So we were able to accomplish that. That's what we got next week. So until then, please be safe, everybody.
Where were you in 92? Bouncing your butt to Sir Mix-a-Lot? Wondering if you, like Billy Ray Cyrus, could pull off a mullet? Now iHeart has a podcast all about it. I'm Jason Lomfier, and on my new show, Where Were You in 92, we take a ride through the major hits, one-hit wonders, and shocking scandals that shaped the wildest 12 months in music history.
The president came after me. Everybody, Time Warner, was madness.
Music was magic, and I had completely burned that to the ground.
I realized I'm the forbidden fruit.
So listen and follow Where Were You in 92 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Truth is stranger than fiction, and reality TV stars know this better than anyone. But what you may not know about them, or even believe, is actually criminal behavior.
I'm Kaylin Miller-Keys, and on my new podcast, True Crime Reality, I will be joined by reality TV stars as they dive deep into the details of a crime they have a direct connection to.
Listen to True Crime Reality on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This holiday season, 12 strangers, 12 tales.
Something was out there.
Whatever it is, it's ravenous. Was I the last person to see you alive?
12 Ghosts, starring Malcolm McDowell.
Who are you?
I'm the innkeeper.
Presented in immersive 3D audio. A co-production of iHeartRadio and Grim & Mild from Aaron Mahnke. Listen to 12 Ghosts on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.